All right, Elon. We knew it was coming. We knew that SpaceX would eventually move some operations, more operations, regular operations, not just Starbase and Starship operations, down to the Brownsville area. We knew that was going to happen. The headquarters are being built there at Starbase. We know that Brownsville is a place where SpaceX employees already live. Now, this is a thing that's happening right now. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about right now. And this is, I don't even care who posted this. It's Libs of TikTok. Gavin Newsom signed AB 1955 today, which bans schools from making rules requiring parental notification if a child identifies as transgendered. Get your kids out of public schools. Elon, down here, double exclamation points. And then some garbage political stuff underneath that you don't care about. Okay, right? We care about spaceflight on this channel, but this guy Jason at Jason says, so the state is the parent in California now, Gavin Newsom, ? Elon says a lot of families and companies will move out of California because of this law. Who would want to risk the state taking away their kids? Okay, so that's Elon's reply. How many people do you think will move out of California because of this? Families and companies will move out of California due to this. I'm not sure. Elon doesn't know either. So he's just talking smack. A lot of families and companies, a lot. When they say a lot, there's just a general idea in their head that like some people are going to move, right? No matter whenever somebody says like a lot of things are going to happen, or I heard from a guy, you know that's when it's just a whatever. It's their ideology. It's the way that they think. A lot of families are going to move, man. Dude, people are talking. People are saying a lot of families are going to move. Now, I'm not shitting on Elon. I just think that sometimes his ideas and his ideals get in the way of companies. So how does this affect SpaceX? You might ask yourself, why does this affect SpaceX? And how is this the last straw? This is the last straw. Because of this law and many others that preceded it, attacking both families and companies, SpaceX will now move its HQ, its headquarters, from Hawthorne, California to Starbase, Texas. Okay. So Elon also says right below here, he replies to himself, I did not make it clear to Governor Newsom about a year ago. I did make it clear that laws of this nature would force families and companies to leave California to protect their children. Okay, let's fix this microphone while we're at it. Everyday Astronaut says, does this mean there will be no facilities in Hawthorne? Does Falcon 9 mission control and production move Dragon production? Or what does moving actually look like? Wonder if there will be a big population increase in the RGV. Well, we don't know. We don't know what this looks like. Elon hasn't said anything about it. He just said he's moving everybody out of California. He's moving the company out of California to Texas. So what we know right now, as of right now, a few hours, like 1 hour since he posted this stuff, is that some stuff is going to move to Texas. But I'm going to tell you something. I lived in Brownsville for almost a year, for about a year. And I came from a place that was is a nicely populated small town, rural in the middle of nowhere. And when I went to Brownsville, it's like 250,000 people, 250,000 people, not a big deal. But if you're coming from LA, which has millions of people, all the infrastructure you'll ever need, everything, shopping, high-end stuff, whatever you want, right? You're not going to get the same stuff in Brownsville. You're just not. The place isn't up to par with anything close to LA or any, like there's the, I mean, okay, so let me back up. And I'm not shitting on Brownsville either. I'm going to say Brownsville was a really great city to live in when I lived there, right? And the people there were excellent. The people were great. And I love them all. They were really great people. And the RGV, really cool place. But it's no LA, man. If you grew up in LA, you're accustomed to a certain kind of lifestyle. Something a little bit more high-end, something a little bit more polished than what you would get in Brownsville. Brownsville is pretty rough, man. Like, here's an example. I used to go to It's like a stadium, like a park kind of place. And every morning I would go for a walk before I went to Starbase. I would go for a walk for about a quarter of a mile to a mile, depending on the day and how freaking hot it was, because it's extremely hot in Brownsville. That's another thing that people don't understand. It's like 100 plus degrees. It's different heat than in Los Angeles. Brownsville heat is humid. Los Angeles heat, not as much. But another thing is, man, the trail that I walked on, numerous people got murdered on it over time. I went for a walk in the morning, one morning, and then I heard on the news later some guy got stabbed on the trail like 20 minutes after I was there. Happens in LA too, right? But you're really close to the border. There's a lot of um, other activity going on down there. Really close to the Rio Grande. There's a lot of stuff going on in Brownsville, making it like one of the most dangerous cities in the country. And LA, I mean, it's not as dangerous as Brownsville. Brownsville's pretty sketchy. So that being said, a lot of people that are familiar with LA and like the nice things of LA, they're not going to leave. There's no way they're going to leave. Elon says that like this law is forcing people out. I don't think a lot of people will leave because of this. I mean, there might be a little exodus, but dude, if you're going to take people to Texas, take them to Austin. Like that's closer to what people in LA like, you know? It's a little bit more culture, a little bit more upscale, a little bit more modern. Like, dude, the downtown of Brownsville, is charming as it is, the place is from like the 1800s. It's like it's nothing like LA. So this is all about moving the right people to the right place to do the right job. Now, the thing is, they're probably not going to move production facilities to Starbase right away. They might eventually, but there's not a lot of room down there. And SpaceX doesn't have permits to build anymore that we know of, because they'd have to build a giant production facility for the Falcon 9 stuff. Now, Elon is thinking ahead, of course, that Falcon 9 will be replaced by the Falcon, or not by the Falcon, by the Starship. But will it all be replaced by the Starship? The answer is maybe eventually. But why would they send a Starship to some sort of space station? Like the 2030s, is when we're going to get new space stations. The other space station is going to deorbit. And up until then, the Falcon 9 needs to be a thing. So even if Starship is fully operational by the time the space station is deorbited, they're still going to use Falcon 9 to send people to and from the space station. Things like that. Certain orbits where you don't need a giant Starship to launch your satellite or your cargo, whatever it is. And a Falcon 9 does it for a fraction of the cost and quicker turnaround. You're just going to use a Falcon 9. There's going to be an array. It's kind of a quiver, right? Like you have a bunch of different tools in your tool belt, and a bunch of different arrows in your quiver to choose from. So SpaceX, if they move the facilities of Falcon 9 to Brownsville, they're going to lose a lot of people. Like Elon is saying that California is going to lose a lot of people. If they move everything, including production, to Brownsville, they're going to lose a lot of people. And I know for a fact, I have a lot of friends in LA, a lot of friends in that culture. Nobody wants to move to Brownsville. None of my friends would move to Brownsville. They're like, dude, we got the beach, we got the sun, we got this cool lifestyle, all these fancy restaurants and stuff. Like you have a certain kind of lifestyle. You make a lot of money doing whatever you do, like the SpaceX engineers. And then you say like, dude, you're going to move to literally the middle of nowhere. The closest town is like 30 minutes away. And some people will like it, of course, but some people definitely won't. Some people will be like, hey, I'm going to stay in LA. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm going to find a different job. I'm going to go work at Blue Origin or something. I don't know. Maybe they're going to work at a tech startup. I don't know. But the thing is, Elon always kind of lets his emotions go, right? So I don't want to crap on the guy. He's got his problems, got his things going on. And there are people from both sides that are going to move and change and whatever. But is this the last straw, Elon? Is this the last straw? Let's see. The last straw. Because of this law. He's always so like I don't know. I don't know. There's something about Elon that's just like he's so dramatic, right? Like he's so dramatic about everything. This is the last straw. He's typing furiously as he's on the toilet, thumb pressing his thumbs as hard as he can into his phone. Because of this law, the many others that preceded it, attacking both families and companies, SpaceX will now move its HQ from Hawthorne, California, to Starbase, Texas. Then he does a rant on X, and then that's it. Then we all speculate about what's going to happen, and then and then we figure out like, oh, it's not that big of a deal because there's going to be a few people that move from the HQ to Starbase to do procedural stuff, to do work on the office stuff. Maybe not the engineers, maybe not the people that actually make the rockets, or maybe not the rocket facility. Maybe the people that keep the people together. Maybe those are the people that will be moving from Hawthorne to Texas. But even those people, like your whole family's there, man. Like you're gonna uproot your whole family. Like, what if you grew up? What if you grew up in LA? All these people grew up in LA. You have generations of people there. You have your grandma, grandpa, maybe great grandma, grandpa, and your family, your own personal family. Do you want your kid going to school in another state? Some of them will. Some of them, like, dude, why would you move your family to Brownsville for a job unless you're getting like a huge raise? I mean, that could be a thing too. Maybe Elon's like, hey, if you move to Brownsville, we're going to give you a raise. I don't think he would do that because Elon's pretty, he's like, hey, if you don't want to work for me, that's cool. Fine. See you later. But I don't know. I'm kind of talking freely here. So I want to know what you think in the comments down below, of course. And I want to know what you think about this. I mean, this law is controversial, to say the least. A lot of people are on either side are like, yeah, this is great. And then other people are like, yeah, this is horrible. So I don't I'm not in California, so I don't really have an opinion on it. And I wouldn't share that opinion with you anyway, because this is a space flight channel. What I can share my opinion on is Elon going wild again and moving everybody like he did with Tesla, which probably a good move. People like Austin, but do they like Brownsville? I mean, unless they build Brownsville up like crazy. Oh man. I'm not shitting on Brownsville. I'm just saying that like it's not the best city. Like especially if you're from like San Diego or LA or something like that, and like you got all the things. Like, you're not going to move to the middle of the fucking desert and like a wetland desert. Like you're not going to do it. Like it doesn't seem like a great place to raise a family either. The crime rate, let me see what the crime rate is in Brownsville. I'm just ranting here, so please bear with me. Crime rate, Brownsville, Texas. And Elon and company, like I've got to give them their credit, right? The crime rate in Brownsville probably went down since they moved there, since they moved everything there. Let's see. Safest Brownsville neighborhoods. Let's see. Where was I? Compared to, yeah, Brownsville, Texas. It's okay. Let's see. How dangerous is Brownsville, Texas? It's like super dangerous. Crime in Brownsville is considerably higher than the national average across all communities in America, from the largest to smallest, although at 21 crimes per 1,000 residents, not among the communities with the very highest crime rate. Has a pretty high crime rate, though, higher than the national average. Would you want to do that? Okay, let's see. Los Angeles. How dangerous is Los Angeles? Los Angeles. Study places LA at number 5 of the safest large cities in the US. What? What? Top 5. And I know there's stuff that happens in LA, right? Like crazy stuff happens in LA all the time. LA is reported to be the theft in LA. So theft is the most frequent crime, and violent crimes are reportedly on the decline. So if you live in the LA area, it's like number 5 safest place. That's great. That's awesome. You're not going to get much safer than that. And Brownsville, Texas. Yeah. So it seems like 23 crimes per 1,000 people. So yeah. but it has a lower rate of crime than similarly sized metro areas. It's an 8.5 out of 10. Um, so the violent crime is higher than the national average. Um, its rate of property crime was lower than the national rate. Yeah. So it seems like Brownsville is more violent than LA, and LA is pretty safe. So I did a little lookup for you. So it also seemed like Brownsville's cool, man. I loved my time there. I'm not shitting on Brownsville. I'm just saying, like, the people that live in LA right now, and they're like, yo, I got it made. Like, I can go to the beach in the morning, could drive out to Big Bear and go snowboarding. And then, you know what? Like, after the sun goes down, let's go to a skate park. You can do all three board sports in one day. Not only that, there's everything else you'd ever want in the LA area. So if you're going to move from LA to Brownsville, I mean, and I'm just saying this from like a personal perspective of the people, not the engineers or not the engineering with the rockets and things like that. This is about the people. Because at the end of the day, the rockets don't make themselves. And there's no way that Tesla bots, any Optimus bots will be making any rockets anytime soon. So these people are what produce the real great rockets at SpaceX. But it worked for Tesla. That's in Austin, though. So do you want to, like, and it's also like the gut, the heart of the people that's in this. If you want to get people to Mars, like, you got to do everything it takes, right? And your family has to be on board with it. Sensible questions, things like that. Like, you got to think about the questions. Like, what is your family going to do? What if, like, when you go to Brownsville, what are the schools like? A lot of these people, they might be young, but they also have startup families. They have small families. So how are the schools? What's the crime rate? What's the infrastructure like? I know, like, dude, downtown Brownsville was a mess when I was there. It was a mess. The roads were garbage. A lot of roads in Brownsville. I'd have to drive around a lot to film at Starbase, and I had to go pick up equipment, and I have to, I did other things too. So I lived a life in Brownsville. And tell you what, man, the infrastructure there, not that great. The roads kind of suck. The roads down to Starbase, they're not as bad now, but they were horrible when I was there. But the infrastructure could get better if they bring in more people, more wealthy people that are just going to complain that the infrastructure sucks. They're driving the Tesla, they blow out a tire. They're going to talk to the mayor and be like, yo, fix your roads. We don't pay all these, all the fees and things to have crappy roads. But there's a lot to think about if you're somebody that works at SpaceX right now. And like Elon just going like, all right, that's it. We're moving. Like, come on, dude. Can he really do that to like thousands of employees? I guess Elon can. He can do whatever he wants. He's the guy. Privately owned company. He can move it whenever he wants to. Will people be happy? I don't know. Will it be okay? Yes, SpaceX is going to be fine. SpaceX is going to be fine. They'll find more engineers. If the engineers don't want to move down there, they're going to find more people in the office that just don't care and they want to move to Brownsville, or they want a new life, so they move to Brownsville. So it's up to the people, really. So let me know in the comments down below if you're listening to this podcast. Please let me know either on the comments on Spotify, and if you're on Spotify, please rate the podcast 5 stars, and also Apple Podcasts too. That would be really great. So thank you so much for watching or listening today. I appreciate your time. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in the next one.